Thank you so much for tuning back in. This is part C of the story by Max Lucado. My name is Lesley and we're reading through it. Sorry we got a bit cut off there right quickly. But what we were talking about and the point that I was going to make is in question number, in the questions for number 4, we were asked if we still believe in miracles or anything like that. Then I'm thinking too about how there's a cloud, that God is there and people can hear God, and his being is there, and he wrote on tablets. That is still the same God. We worship a living God. I said before, and whether it is God or sent his angels, I'm not sure, but I heard, beloved. I've heard and I've felt in my heart and I've had dream. I just believe that God is, if we open our eyes and have eyes to see God, we can see him. If we have the heart to be opened to God, we absolutely can feel his presence today. Can you imagine though that it was visual? There's a cloud right there, and you know that that is the dwelling place of God. How amazing is that? And we'll get to it later of how now it isn't just one dwelling place of God. God is dwelling with us all around. That comes later, that's a different. But anyway, it's so incredible. There's so much to think about and so much to learn and to ponder on. And I hope you do that through the week. I sure do. I sure do. Okay, so let's just go right in. If you have your own copy of the story. Now, I just took the cover off because it just kept getting all bunched up anyway. So this is a beautiful book, and I'm happy to have a copy of it. I'm on page 66 of chapter 5, New Commands and a New Covenant. Let's continue reading. We're going to finish this chapter and talk about the questions for it. So it starts again from here. I'll just reread just a little bit here. It says here, Moses saw that the people were running wild and that Aaron had let them get out of control and so become a laughingstock to their enemies. So he stood at the entrance of the camp and said, "Whoever is for the Lord, come to me." And all the Levites rallied to him. Then he said to them, "This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. Each man strap a sword to your side. Go back and forth through the camp from one end to the other, each killing his brother and friend and neighbor." The Levites did as Moses commanded, and that day about 3,000 of the people died. Then Moses said, "You have been set apart to the Lord today, for you were against your own sons and brothers, and he has blessed you on this day." The next day Moses said to the people, "You have committed a great sin, but now I will go up to the Lord. Perhaps I can make atonement for your sin." So Moses went back to the Lord and said, "Oh, what a great sin these people have committed. They have made themselves gods of gold. But now, please forgive their sin. But if not, then blot me out of the book you have written." The Lord replies to Moses, "Whoever has sinned against me, I will blot out of my book. Now go, lead the people to the place I spoke of, and my angel will go before you. However, when the time comes to for me to punish. I will punish them for their sin. And the Lord struck the people with a plague because of what they did with the calf Aaron had made. Then the Lord said to Moses, leave this place, you and the people you have brought out of Egypt, and go up to the land I promised on oath to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, saying, I will give it to your descendants. I will send an angel before you and drive out the Canaanites, Amorites, Hittites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites. Go up to the land flowing with milk and honey, but I will not go with you, because you are a stiff-necked people, and I might destroy you on the way. Now Moses used to take a tent and pitch it outside the camp, some distance away, calling it the tent of meeting. Anyone inquiring of the Lord would go to the tent of meeting outside the camp, and wherever Moses went out to the tent, all the people rose and stood at the entrances to their tents, watching Moses until he entered the tent. As Moses went into the tent, the pillar of cloud would come down and stay at the entrance, while the Lord spoke with Moses. Whenever the people saw the pillar of cloud standing at the entrance to the tent, they all stood and worshipped at the entrance to their tent. The Lord would speak to Moses face to face, as one speaks to a friend. I'm just going to read that again. The Lord would speak to Moses face to face, as one speaks to a friend. Then Moses would return to the camp, but his young aide Joshua, son of Nun, N-U-N, did not leave the tent. Moses said to the Lord, you have been telling me, lead these people, but you have not let me know whom you will send with me. You have said, I know you by name, and you have found favor with me. If you are pleased with me, teach me your ways, so I may know you and continue to find favor with you. Remember that this is the nation, that this nation is your people. Can you imagine telling God to remember something? He's the one who told you. Can you imagine saying to God, remember that this is the nation, that this nation is your people? He fully remembers, right? But he's like, wow, you brought a plague onto these people, and this is what's going on, and you know, it's hard. He's saying, remember who they are, please be kind. Can you imagine? Can you imagine the struggle, what's going on here? The Lord replied, my presence will go with you, and I will give you rest. Then Moses said to him, if your presence does not go with us, do not send us up from here. How will anyone know that you are pleased with me and with your people unless you go with us? What else will distinguish me from your people, from all the other people on the face of the earth? And the Lord said to Moses, I will do the very thing you have asked, because I am pleased with you, and I know you by name. Then Moses said, now show me your glory. And the Lord said, I will cause all my goodness to pass in front of you, and I will proclaim my name, the Lord, in your presence. I will have mercy on whom I will have mercy, and I will have compassion on whom I will have compassion. But he said, you cannot see my face, for no one may see me and live. The Lord said, there is a place near me where you may stand on a rock. When my glory passes by, I will be put in a cleft in the rock and cover you with my hand until I have passed by. Then I will remove my hand, and you will see my back, but my face must not be seen. The Lord said to Moses, chisel out 2 stone tablets like the first ones, and I will write on them the words that were on the first tablets which you broke. Be ready in the morning, and then come up to Mount Sinai. Present yourself to me there on the top of the mountain. No one is to come with you or be seen anywhere on the mountain. Not even the flocks and herds may graze in front of the mountain. So Moses chiseled out the 2 stone tablets like the first ones and went up Mount Sinai early in the morning as the Lord had commanded him. And he carried the 2 stone tablets in his hands. Then the Lord came down in a cloud and stood there with him and proclaimed his name, the Lord. And he passed in front of Moses, proclaiming, the Lord, the compassionate and gracious Lord, slow to anger, abounding in love and faithfulness, maintaining love to thousands, and forgiving wickedness, rebellion, and sin. Yet he does not leave the guilty unpunished. He punishes the children and their children for the sin of the parents to the 3rd and 4th generation. Moses bowed to the ground at once and worshipped. Lord, he said, if I have found favor in your eyes, then let the Lord go with us. Although this is a stiff-necked people, forgive our wickedness and our son, and take us as your inheritance. Then the Lord said, I am making a covenant with you before all your people. I will do wonders never before done in any nation, in any world. The people you live among will see how awesome is the work that I, the Lord, will do for you. Do not worship any other god, for the Lord, whose name is jealous, is a jealous God. The Lord said to Moses, write down these words, for in accordance with these words I have made a covenant with you, with Israel. Moses was there with the Lord 40 days and 40 nights without eating bread or drinking water. And he wrote on the tablets the words of the covenant, the 10 commandments. When Moses came down from Mount Sinai with the 2 tablets of the covenant law in his hands, he was not aware that his face was radiant because he had spoken with the Lord. When Aaron and all the Israelites saw Moses, his face was radiant, and they were afraid to come near him. But Moses called to them. So Aaron and all the leaders of the community came back to him, and he spoke to them. Afterward, all the Israelites came near him and gave them all the commands the Lord had given him on Mount Sinai. When Moses finished speaking to them, he put a veil over his face. When Moses finished speaking to them, he put a veil over his face. But whenever he entered the Lord's presence to speak with him, he removed the veil until he came out. Wow. And when he came out and told the Israelites what he had been commanded, they saw that his face was radiant. Then Moses would put the veil back over his face until he went in to speak with the Lord. Moses had experienced God's awesome presence, and it showed. Now God would come down and reside among his people in the tabernacle. The holy tent provided space for the rituals of sacrifice and cleansing from sin that God required. The best Hebrew artisans used their skills in woodworking, metalworking, weaving, and embroidering to craft the materials for the tabernacle, including the lampstand, the table of sacred bread, and the Ark of the Covenant. The ark was gold covered with poles of acacia wood, also covered with gold for transport. The specifications for all these materials were quite detailed, and the results must have been beautiful indeed. Yet the most awesome and important feature of this portable tabernacle was not the furniture that filled it, but the person who filled it. Then the cloud covered the tent of meeting, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. Moses could not enter the tent of meeting because the cloud had settled on it, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. In the travels of the Israelites, whenever the cloud lifted from the tabernacle, they would set out. But if the cloud did not lift, they did not set out until the day it lifted. So the cloud of the Lord was over the tabernacle by day, and fire was in the cloud by night, in the sight of all the Israelites during all their travels. Wow. During the year that the Israelites were camped near Mount Sinai, God taught them who He was and what He required of them. I am holy, so you are to be holy. God instructed His people to bring specific offerings to the tabernacle: burnt offerings, grain offerings, fellowship offerings, sin offerings, and guilt offerings. The line of priests was anointed, and an intricate system of animal sacrifices was instituted for the atonement of the people's sins. The Hebrews learned God's laws about marriage and divorce, appropriate sexual relations, punishment for murder and robbery, and how to make restitution for wrongs. God desired that His people become compassionate, merciful, and just. The promise to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob was now a reality, and this new nation was to be different, so that the entire world would know and worship the one true God, the very source of life and hope. I'm just going to read what it says on the bottom here, page 70. Anoint and anointed. It means to pour oil on a person, usually on their head, as a ceremonial symbol, setting him or her apart for blessings or special service to God. An object can also be anointed to show its sacredness or significance in worship. The term anointed can sometimes be interchanged with choose, as in the phrase, God's anointed. The next chapter is chapter 6, called Wandering, and that's going to be interesting, I'm sure. This whole time has been interesting. Excuse me for one moment. I live in Alberta and it's a bit dry here, so anyway, what an incredible privilege it is to have read that. To have read that, provided part A, B, and this is part C. So please, we've read through chapter 5, and it was incredible. There's so much there, but really from there it is this: God is with you. God was with the Israelites the whole time. He was with them there. He went before them. He was in front of them. He was there with them there. They could see Him. They could hear Him. It was amazing. And writing the 10 Commandments, that Moses was up there with God during that time. What an incredible time. So let's read chapter 5's questions that we will answer first next Thursday, okay? In 1 week, we'll pick up again where we left off. And again, Ruby's just snoring on the floor, so pardon me with those sounds. So chapter 5, new commands and a new covenant. Question number 1, how were the people to prepare themselves to meet with God? Do you remember what we were talking about? So I'm going to let you, we're not going to get into the answers. So anyways, there's a lot that we read through. So these are great questions. How were the people to prepare themselves to meet with God? Do you think about that sometimes? Do you prepare yourself to meet with God? I do. I just want to say that even before I start reading here today, I prayed about that as I got ready, and I asked God to please give me the words to say today, and help me to speak and to prepare and to open up that relationship with Jesus in order to properly do that. So I don't want to get into the questions or the answers right now, but that is something to really think about, is how do we prepare to meet with God? Okay, that's a great question. What does this story of the giving of these new commands tell you about the character of God? Number 3, what was the purpose of the 10 commandments? What was the purpose? Number 4, how can God be both the merciful forgiver of sin and the punisher of the guilty? That is huge, that question. That really is the question that so many people want to know. Because otherwise they'll just go, well, God wouldn't do that. He's a nice God. God's nice. God, well, yes, he is. But he also is who he says he is, and he does what he says he can do. And God is not about sin whatsoever. And there's consequences to our sin. And it isn't that God is doing that to us. We did that. We chose to sin. There's consequences to that. It is, that is a great question. That's a great question. Number 5. The Israelites became impatient and finally made a golden idol in the shape of a calf for themselves. What are some false idols, gods, worshipped in our society today? That's a great question, and one that not many people want to answer out loud or in public. These days it's very hard to say and answer this question, honestly, from what's been said in here. It isn't just my opinion. It's what God says. It's what the scriptures say is a false idol and false gods. It's not just my opinion. It is what the scriptures say. It's a lot that we can answer with that question number 5. Question number 6. The Lord spoke to Moses as one speaks to a friend. What steps can you take to gain a deeper understanding of who God is? I'm so glad that that's one of the questions. I'm so glad that that phrase is actually used, because that's how close God is with us. Moses spoke to him face to face, as close as a friend. The pastor that I spoke with years ago at the St. Albert Lions Church has said, God is as close as your breath is right here. What a gift. What a gift. So there's so much to think about and so much to go over. I thank you so much for tuning into this week's reading. And I do hope that you follow along and tune in next Thursday. So every Thursday, I'm intentional with my time. I'm intentional with your time. And I want to be intentional with having and building a great relationship, furthering our relationship with God. And I know this means a lot to God. God hears you, and God sees you and knows our hearts. So thank you. Thank you for tuning in. I can't wait to hear from you. Have a great week. Bye now.